in the fight game, there's so many interesting stories, from rags to riches types of stories, crazy stories of fighters dying in the ring, mobster stories, rigged fights. There's so many crazy stories. But today we're getting into Sonny Liston, one of the most intimidating boxers of all time. At the time, known to be the most dangerous boxer, and just a very controversial figure. Sonny Liston grew up with like 25 siblings in Arkansas. He ended up becoming an enforcer for the mob at some point, and he died at 40 years old. There's a lot of speculation around his death, whether it was natural or not. So we're going to kind of get into the conspiracy of Sonny Liston's death today and the recap of his career. Sonny Liston is most well known for his fight with Muhammad Ali. You know, a lot of people believe that was a rigged fight, including myself. After going back and seeing the fight, he gets dropped. Ali's telling him to get back up. He's specifically telling him, don't take their money, get back up. He's talking about the mob. Sonny Liston had a long history with the mob. And actually, Sonny Liston he only started boxing because he was in jail, and he just started boxing in jail, got out, and turned out he's a really, really good boxer, super athletic. But fast forward to the end of his career, end of his life, you know, he lost his championship to Muhammad Ali, and he's living in Vegas. His wife was on a vacation or something like that. She came back, door was wide open, he was dead. And they said it was a drug overdose with heroin or something like that. But it was just super unlikely because he was super scared of needles. So there's a lot of speculation that he was actually killed by the mob and set up over some type of gambling debt or over some type of just business transaction. So super, super interesting character in the world of boxing. And his story, you know, he was the most intimidating fighter, but his story is kind of a story of a guy who had no choice, or a guy who just tried to do the best of what he had with what he had. You know, he grew up 25 other siblings. Apparently, he's really getting abused by his dad and neglected. He had no formal education, couldn't read, couldn't write for a very long time. But he was a huge dude, big athlete. As life went on, you know, he lived a super hard life in Arkansas. He moved to St. Louis. All he really knew was how to fight because he grew up fighting his siblings and getting abused. So didn't know how to read, didn't know how to write, had no skills. He ends up, but he's a tough guy. He ends up getting involved with organized crime and becoming an enforcer, going to different places, bodyguarding the mob and collecting debts, you know, like Goodfellas. I love mob movies, like Goodfellas, like what was it called? A Bronx Tale, you know, Carlito's Way. I love mob movies. So The Sopranos. So Sonny Liston was the guy that they would call when someone wouldn't pay them the money, or somebody owed money and they need to get their legs broken. Sonny Liston was the guy they called. So that's also why so many fighters feared him, because he was like a very dangerous fighter. In fact, Floyd Patterson went to the White House and met Kennedy. The boxing, especially in this time, has so much history with United States history. It's so wild. But Floyd Patterson went to the White House to meet John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy actually told Floyd Patterson, don't fight Sonny Liston because he's such a dangerous fighter. You can actually see the fight right here. This is the Floyd Patterson Sonny Liston fight. But Sonny Liston, John F. Kennedy did not want Floyd Patterson to fight Sonny Liston because Sonny Liston was seen as like the villain. He was seen as like Bane, just a big giant black dude knocking people out who works for the mob. You know, a super scary character. You know, doesn't talk much. The dude's just a monster. You go in there, you're getting knocked out by him. He went to Germany and knocked out the champ brutally, one of the most brutal knockouts ever, still to this day in boxing. So John F. Kennedy didn't want Floyd Patterson to fight Sonny Liston, and neither did Sonny Liston or Floyd Patterson's boxing coach. He also didn't want him to fight. Everybody was scared of this dude because of his story, who he was. His hands were huge. His hands were super big. So they're as big as, there's a picture, he's holding his hand up. It's as big as like someone's head, you know? So super dangerous guy. Floyd Patterson, you don't ever tell a fighter you're scared of that guy or don't fight that guy. That's the real guy. Because a real fighter, regardless if they're scared or not, they're going to sign on the dotted line and they're going to test out who they are. You know, every single fighter is scared when they hop in the ring or the cage, whatever. That's what we feed off of. We feed off that adrenaline. So Floyd Patterson fights Sonny Liston. He gets destroyed. He gets wrecked. They actually fought twice. He got destroyed twice, got knocked out twice. Muhammad Ali hops on the scene. He's talking all the trash, saying Sonny's a bum. He's going to knock him out. Ali's actually scared of Sonny Liston, but Ali is going after him relentlessly, trying to get this fight to the point where they had a situation where Sonny Liston pulled out a gun and started firing blanks off. So pretty wild, like wild story. Ali was a wild guy, fearless guy. But, you know, fast forward, Ali or Cassius Clay at the time fights Sonny Liston, you know, knocks him out in the first round, I believe. And they fight twice. Oh, no. The first time they fight, it was like more of a competitive fight. In fact, in that fight, Sonny Liston and his corner actually cheated. You know, they like put something on Sonny's glove, so when they hit Ali, he had something in his eyes he couldn't see. Ali weathers that storm. He comes out and knocks out Sonny. I believe it was in the fourth round. So that was wild. Ali's just a different level type of guy. They booked the rematch, and now there's a lot of money on the line. There's a ton of money on the line. There's a lot of gambling going on. And when there's gambling, there's the mob. When there's gambling, there's the organized crime. So they fight. During the fight, Ali comes out. He drops Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston throws a jab. Ali comes over the top with an overhand. Boom, on the chin. It wasn't like the most brutal punch ever. It was a nice punch, but it wasn't like a super brutal, ruthless punch. Sonny goes down. The ref doesn't start counting at all. Ali's telling him to get up. He's like going crazy. He's like, get up. He didn't hit you hard. Get up. Sonny stays down. He gets back up for a second. The ref says, I haven't started counting yet. Because Ali hasn't gotten this thing. The crowd is going crazy. They're screaming it's a fix. Sonny rolls back to the ground. Then the ref starts counting. He counts to 10. Sonny gets back up. Fight's over. Ali, while all this is going on, is saying, don't take their money. Let's go. Get up. Don't take their money. So that fight was a fix. I went back and watched the knockout. It was a fix, you know. And later on in his life, Sonny said like he was scared of Ali, this and that. But realistically, it's probably because of the amount of money on the gambling and the mob. But fast forward, Sonny goes on. He's living his life. He tries to go on the straight and narrow, but he's constantly getting followed by the cops. You know, everybody still sees him as that. He has that reputation of being a real brutal, ruthless guy. He was an enforcer for the mob. So as time goes on, he relapses. He goes back to that life and he starts being an enforcer again. Somehow, some way, this is all up to this point. This is all facts. No conspiracy yet. As time goes on, Sonny, the idea is Sonny gets back involved with organized crime, and he is in Vegas and he has some type of deal with maybe with like a loan sharking operation. The word is, the conspiracy is, Sonny wanted more of a cut. He ends up dead at 4 years old. The way his wife found him was she was on vacation in St. Louis. She comes back, the door is wide open. She goes in. He had been there for like 7 days. He's been there for a week, you know. And they say she finds his body. They say that he died on a overdose of heroin. But everybody who knows him says that he was scared, super scared of needles, and he would never willingly do that, you know. So it's pretty wild story because before, a lot of different articles say before Sonny was found, he was actually hanging out with like 2 different guys and he was super drunk in his place. And then next thing you know, he's overdosed on heroin. Nobody's seen him for days. And, you know, he's gone at 40 years old. So I personally think he was probably set up. I think, you know, looking into him more, I think he's a really misunderstood figure, a guy who just had no education, grew up a very rough life, and had skills in fighting, and just tried to make what he could with what he had. But in history, he's known as you know, just a ruthless guy, just a beast, just a monster, you know. And he went on to inspire guys like Mike Tyson, all the most intimidating fighters, Deontay Wilder. He was the original prototype for the super intimidating fighter. Guys would break just on him, his aura alone. So I think that's pretty wild, you know. It's just super wild. The famous picture of Ali screaming at Liston, as you can see, you'll see it right here. The famous picture of Ali screaming at Liston right here. This is a super famous picture. This picture, Ali is saying right here. This picture, Ali is saying, "Get up, get off the ground, get up. I didn't hit you that hard." So it's a super famous picture. It's wild. But Sonny Liston is a very interesting character, and I think probably one of the most interesting characters in boxing history. And I think he has a very great story, you know. And that's it. Tell me who you think the most interesting boxer is that you watched. You know, this era, the 1960s boxing era, 1960s, 1970s, I think is the best era of boxing, especially in heavyweight. Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, George Foreman. You know, that era was insane. Much love. Hit that like button.